This week in college football is brought to you by Mountain Dew, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Lowe's, Ram Trucks, and Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. We start this week off as usual with the top 25. This week brought to you by Mountain Dew. Do the do. The top 5. Ohio State still at number 1, 10-0 after the win over Purdue 31-28 on Saturday. They face a tough test this week against number 20 Michigan State, down their starting quarterback. Tony Adams was ruled out for at least the next 2 to 3 games after suffering a PCL sprain in the third quarter. Theo Hansen's the current backup and projected starter for next week. Georgia Tech also 10-0. They sit at number 2 following another win, this time 41-30 over Boston College. Illinois up to number 3 in the nation. They are 11-0 after a 24-10 win over Michigan. This week they are on a bye. Notre Dame up to number 4 after the dominant win over Virginia. They have a huge top 5 clash at home this week against number 2 Georgia Tech. And Kansas State in the top 5 for the first time this season. They're 8-2. Last week they were listed at 8-2. In reality they were 7-2. After week 8 we said they were 6-2, when in reality they were 5-2, leading to the record error the last few weeks. 6 through 10, Appalachian State still undefeated, still at number 6, and on the doorstep of the top 5 after their 24-point win over South Alabama. Utah jumps up 6 spots from number 13 last week to number 7 this week, still at a perfect 10-0 on the season. This week they travel to 8-2 Oregon. Penn State still at number 8, they're 8-2. Tennessee up to number 9 after the big win over Georgia, and LSU at 9-1, they round out the top 10. Texas falls out of the top 10 to number 11, following the overtime upset loss to Kansas on Saturday night. They're 8-2. Both of those losses are huge upsets, the other being against Rice in week 2. Auburn still at number 12 after the win over Mike Leach and Mississippi State. They're 7-3. Missouri moves up 2 spots to number 13 following the home win over the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Florida still at number 14 at 6-4 seems to be defying logic after surviving the near upset in the swamp against Samford. They survived and won 70-52 after being down 28-14 late in the second quarter. They take on number 10 LSU on Saturday in Death Valley under the lights. Navy rounds out the top 15 up 1 spot after a bye. The Midshipmen are still undefeated at 10-0. Louisiana moves up to number 16 after the road win at Troy. They're 9-1. The Red Raiders of Texas Tech moved up 4 spots into the top 20 at number 17, following the 3-point win over Iowa State in Lubbock. North Carolina fell 9 spots and out of the top 10, following the upset loss to Pittsburgh on Friday night in overtime, 30-23. Nebraska and Michigan State rounded the top 20 after bye weeks at 7-3 and 8-2 respectively. The final 5 in the top 25 are as followed. San Jose State still undefeated at number 21, up 2 spots from last week following a bye. UCLA at 8-2, they're up 2 spots to number 22. They face off against rival USC this week for the victory bell. Air Force also moved up 2 spots to number 23. They're 8-2, and they take on Nevada on Friday night. Returning to the polls is Liberty. They are number 24 with a 9-1 record. And finally, rounding out the top 25 is Tulane at 8-2. This is their first time being ranked since 1998, when they went undefeated and finished the season at number 7. College hoops is back and in full swing as the Wright State Raiders, led by junior guards Trey Calvin and Tim Finke, travel to Mackey Arena in West Lafayette to take on the number 4 ranked Purdue Boilermakers, anchored by their star guard Jaden Ivey and rising star at center, the 7'4 sophomore Zach Edey. Coverage starts with the tip at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on ESPN2 on Tuesday night. Now, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this commercial break and a word from our sponsors.
How about we add some happy little droplets? Sometimes in life you get a little thirsty. And when a refreshing opportunity comes along, you can just... shoot, that's good.
Welcome back, and now it's time for the top 25 by conference. This week, presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the perfect combination of chocolate and peanut butter. The American is represented by Navy and newcomer Tulane. The ACC is led by Georgia Tech and North Carolina. The Big Ten continues to be a powerhouse, with 3 top 10 teams, Ohio State, Illinois, and Penn State, with them being Nebraska and Michigan State. The Big 12 is represented by the Wildcats of Kansas State, Texas, and the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. Conference USA and the MAC have no ranked teams. The Independents have 2 in Notre Dame and Liberty, and the Mountain West has 2 represented by San Jose State and Air Force. The Pac-12 is represented by 1 top 10 team, the Utes of Utah, and with them is the UCLA Bruins. The SEC has Tennessee, LSU, Auburn, Missouri, and the Gators of Florida. Finally, the Sun Belt has Appalachian State knocking on the door of the top 5, and the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana in the top 20. So in conclusion this week, the CUSA and the MAC have 0. No conferences have a sole representative. The American, the ACC, Independents, Mountain West, and Pac-12, and the Sun Belt all have 2 teams, and the Big Ten and SEC each have 5. That brings us to the top 25 dropouts, presented by Lowe's. Do it better for less. Start at Lowe's. The Georgia Bulldogs started this season at number 5, but after 5 wins and 5 losses, they sit at 5-5 and out of the top 25. This is their first time not being ranked since 2016. Wake Forest, on the other hand, is a bit shocking this week. They are 8-2, falling out from the number 22 spot after a close 45-42 loss to North Carolina State at home in Winston-Salem on Saturday. That transitions us to the outside looking in. This week, brought to you by Ram Trucks. Guts, Glory, Ram. 4 of these teams sit at 8-2, 1 at 7-3, 2 from power conferences, and the other 3 from the G5. The Rice Owls have had a heck of a season so far at 8-2, including a stunning Week 2 win over then number 10 Texas. They look to be a team to watch out for in the CUSA. Another team to watch in the CUSA is 8-2 Old Dominion. The Monarchs have put on a sneaky good season so far and look to be a team to beat in the closing weeks of the season. The Oregon Ducks sit at 8-2 after some dominant wins in Pac-12 play have put them in the top 25 conversation. The same goes for the Wildcats of Kentucky. They've been looking to get back in the polls since falling out after their loss to Mississippi State in Week 9. The final team on the list is a little bit of a surprise. 7-3 UNLV have snuck on the radar of the rankings with a solid season so far in the Mountain West. They take on the Aztecs of San Diego State on Friday night. And that brings us to the big games of the week, presented by Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. Wednesday night on ESPNU brings MACtion your way as the race for the MAC West heats up with 4 teams in contention for the division crown. 2 of the teams tied for second face off, with the 6-4 Chippewas of Central Michigan traveling to Muncie to take on the 7-3 Ball State Cardinals. Then on Saturday at 12 noon on ABC, we see the 8-2 number 20 Michigan State Spartans travel to the Horseshoe Ohio Stadium in Columbus to take on the undefeated number 1 team in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Then at 4 Eastern on ESPN, a top 25 clash between 2 of the best teams in the G5. The 9-1 number 16 Louisiana Raging Cajuns head on the road to take on fellow one-loss team, the number 24 Liberty Flames in Lynchburg. Then ESPN Saturday Night Football on ABC. The number 7 Utah Utes put their undefeated record on the line once again as they travel to Eugene to take on the Oregon Ducks, who hope a win can get them into the top 25 for the first time this season. That game kicks off at 7:30 Eastern on ABC with Fowler and Herbstreit on the call, but it all starts with College Game Day, built by the Home Depot. live from South Bend, Indiana, and the campus of the University of Notre Dame. Coverage starts at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 Central on ESPN. Thank you for tuning into This Week in College Football, and we hope you enjoy this week of college football action.